Thanks for watching / listening to Comedy Worst. Please like the episodes. Subscribe. Wherever you're listening. Follow. Wherever you're listening or watching, follow. Thank you. Comedy or Worse presents a free comedy show at Quantum Brewing. Yay! 5375 Kearney Billwood Road, San Diego, California, 92123. Every Friday, 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. Every Saturday, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Yeah, great beer, outside food, and dog friendly. Scan the QR code or go to comedyworst.com/QB.
I've never been late a day in my life, and I'm not going to start today because you need a ride, Tucker.
Okay, welcome back to Comedy or Worse. I'm here with my very special guest,
Oren Goodman.
Yay! How's it going today?
Oh, it's going very well. Yourself?
Yes, good. So, do you use a stage name?
No, I use my own name because I think my name is unique enough.
Yeah.
So, I don't feel the need for a stage name.
Yeah, you don't need to be anonymous or something.
No. Oren Goodman is a very unique name, and there's a lot of jokes I can make with that just on its own, so
yeah,
that's an advantage right there.
Oh yeah, that's cool. So how did you get into comedy?
Well, back in 2011, I had a friend who was doing comedy down at the Comedy Store in La Jolla, and he wanted me to do it like on a dare kind of thing, so I went in there and I did it.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it, and we started doing comedy shows there in La Jolla.
Yeah.
And he kind of just left the scene and moved on, but I enjoyed it, so I just kept doing it.
Oh, nice. Cool. So did you take any breaks at all, or?
Only during the pandemic did I take a break. For a while, I was doing more improv leading up to the pandemic, and then during the pandemic, you had the choice of you could do like Zoom comedy shows or there was improv, and I thought improv was a little funner at that point.
Okay, cool. So are you still doing improv right now, or?
Not at the moment. I do more improv, like I use my improv skills on stage doing crowd work as well as prepared material.
Alright, cool. Nice. So have you done most of your comedy in San Diego, or?
Yeah, I do it mostly locally here in San Diego. I've done comedy in Orange County and LA, basically all over Southern California. Nice. I haven't done any shows outside of San Diego for quite a while, but for a while I did a bar in Long Beach, and then the club in Burbank, the club there, I did one, and I did I've done sets in improv and things like that, but just for private shows, not for the official club.
Okay, cool. So once you started doing comedy, did you get addicted to it?
Yeah, I got addicted to it pretty fast, and I like going on stage and like kind of learning from the crowd at first, because at first, I had a weird arc, because the first time I really did like a set on my own away from my friend who started it. It was a local radio station. They had a bit where they all came up with these comedy sets, and whoever did the worst one that was voted by listeners, they had to go to the Comedy Store in La Jolla and perform it. So when I got there, it was a night where it was filled to the brim, and that was like my first time I really went on stage like by myself. So I kind of got thrown in the deep end right away, and that set went really well.
Okay.
So I think it was like an advantage, but then the sets after that, they didn't always go as well, so you kind of got a false start there, but it was a good learning experience.
All right, nice. So what is your writing process for comedy?
My writing process for comedy is, I can watch other comedians and kind of get into the rhythm of it. Other times it's just taking out a notepad or my phone and just writing down jokes. Taking things that happened to me that day. I do a lot of improv comedy. Like I can come up with a joke real fast, and then if it works, I either refine it or keep it in my my repertoire, because my brain kind of is, since I have ADHD, I have a brain that's kind of like a Rolodex, and I can pull out jokes at any time. And when I do the crowd work, people say something, I can make a new joke or take out an old one. It's really good to have that option.
Nice. So how many times do you try a joke before you get rid of it?
Depends on how I feel about the joke.
Yeah.
I mean, if a joke doesn't go well, I may keep it locked away for a long time, or I may try it over and over again.
Yeah,
So
just set it aside for a while.
just set it aside for a while. When it's appropriate to use, then I'll use it again.
Sure.
Because having prepared material is good, because sometimes you get into a room and there's not that many people, or the audience isn't lively and you can't do as much crowd work, so you have to rely on that.
Right.
So it's good to have both, always.
Yeah. Nice. So who's the funniest person in your life right now?
Funniest person in my life right now?
Yeah.
Well, I would say that, can I talk about a person who passed away instead of that? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, yeah. Well, the funniest person that I knew was my cousin Mo, my grandpa's cousin Mo. He was an old Jewish New Yorker, bald, and he was like completely bald.
Yeah.
And everywhere he went was just like constant humor. It was like being with like an old time comedian all the time.
Yeah.
You know, he had this joke of like, you know, he would basically go up to women. Now you couldn't do this today. You would be probably have sexual harassment suits all the time. But he would say like, I'm married. I've got 3 kids, and I've got pink hair, because he didn't have any hair. And he's, you interested in me? So he would do that, and he had his wife, and he would always joke like, oh, you crossed the line. I'm leaving you now. Very very funny man, and just lively.
Super cool. So I asked this question of everybody. I don't always know what the answer is, but when did we meet?
We met just a couple months ago right here at the Madhouse.
Cool. So is that when you decided to start doing stand-up again as opposed to improv?
Well, I had been doing stand-up just in bars around the city, and I thought it was time to expand my my repertoire and get back into doing professional clubs, since it had been 5 years since the pandemic, and it was time I felt more confident in stepping up to more professional environments.
Okay, so when you started doing stand-up again, you were just doing bar shows and such?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I started getting really good reactions. People were staying for my sets and buying me drinks. And I said, well, I'm back in the rhythm now. It's time to step that up a little bit more.
Nice. Let's see. So do you have any hobbies or passions that aren't related to comedy?
Hobbies and passions not related to comedy. Well, I do acting.
Okay.
And I'm writing a podcast right now, so we're working on that. I'm going to try to get that episode out soon.
Write it out and then perform it, or?
Yeah, I'm writing it out. It's a history-based podcast, so I'm writing it out now, and I'm hoping to record that in the beginning of next month.
How many episodes do you think?
Right now I'm just working on the pilot. I have about 30 that I've outlined, and a couple that I'm writing, and one that's fully written that just needs to be recorded, and that will happen in the next couple of days.
Wow, that's super cool. So is it history in general, or what history are you doing?
Well, it's basically very broad.
Okay.
So the podcast is called The History of ... So you could take any topic.
All right. Cool.
And so like one episode would be the history of like Uncle Sam. And so we take that topic and we try to find a person to follow for our main segment, which is 10 to 20 minutes. And for that one, the obvious one to follow would be the person who drew Uncle Sam, which is James Flagg.
Okay.
And then outside of that segment, we have what I call fun facts, which are kind of bite-sized, quirky facts about our main topic that's not related to James Flagg, but related to just the general topic of Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
And then we have short pieces, which are only 5 minutes instead of 10, and they're something else related to Uncle Sam, and none of the segments repeat. And my goal is to have kind of a fun history podcast, because like when I was a kid, I would go to scholastic book fairs, and you'd get those those fact books about history, and they'd have these really fun things. And I thought, what if there was an accessible podcast that didn't touch on heavy things that a grandmother in Kansas or a hipster in Brooklyn could listen to and enjoy and learn something new?
Okay, nice. So who are you doing it by yourself? Or are you doing it with people? Or
Completely by myself.
oh, okay, nice. Let's see. So do you wish you started comedy earlier?
Yeah, I wish that maybe I would have had the courage when I was like in my early 20s to do it as opposed to doing it closer to 30.
Okay.
But, you do it when you do it.
Yeah, it's true. Absolutely. So what are your goals in comedy right now?
My goals in comedy are just to keep doing it and to get good. And, I guess every comedian has the dream of playing Madison Square Garden, but,
Yeah.
you got to work your way up the chain. And, the thing with fame that I've learned is that you can get it at 20, you could get it at 40 or 60 or 80.
Yeah.
It happens at any time, or may never, but at least you have the enjoyment.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody has their own path.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have some people that get famous at 20, or when I was like a kid, it was the Titanic lady who, she got it at like 90. All of a sudden she's famous at 90.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely. So what is your favorite joke? It could be anybody's joke.
My favorite joke. I think anything by Rodney Dangerfield is a good joke. I love Steve Martin's joke. Let's see, the best joke. Yeah.
Well, not the best one.
Yeah, my favorite
what's
one.
your favorite right now?
Favorite one right now. I do love Bill Hicks's bit about going to sell a TV show, and he goes to this whole thing about is it going to be intellectual? And he goes into this whole thing about it's going to be an intellectual thing about the zeitgeist of our times and how our collective unconscious comes together and forms a big universe and all these things. And then the TV executive stares at him blankly and says, "Will there be titty?" And he goes, "Yes." And the guy says, "Well, there's your show. Here's your check." I love that bit.
It's funny. Yeah. So what was your first joke?
My first joke, I believe it was like, my first joke was about my Jewish background. And I think I said that, I had two options growing up. I could be a doctor or a lawyer, or a doctor or a lawyer, and I just kept repeating it. I think the joke actually went, the joke went, I had so many career choices. I could be a doctor or like a lawyer or a doctor or a lawyer.
That's funny. So do you have like a favorite fan interaction? Either you were a fan of somebody or someone was a fan of you?
I think the best interaction I had was there was a very drunk couple that really, really liked my set, and they just kept hugging me over and over again, and I for like 20 minutes, and I had to like stand there and take it. I couldn't get away, but it's good when people really like you and people come back to see your show, and sometimes at open mics you get regular audience members, and we had a group of college kids that would come to one open mic, and they really liked me, and they would go get their friends like, "Oren's coming on stage. You gotta get in here now so he can nice. Riff on you again."
Oh, that's cool.
So those are great interactions.
Oh, yeah. Nice. So what's your favorite place to do comedy right now?
Favorite place to do comedy right now is here at the Madhouse. I would say. I love the supportive environment here and getting to know all the staff and seeing just that support is really touching here.
It's hard to beat 7 nights a week open mics, right?
Oh yeah, it is, and you can come anytime, and it's great. It's like Cheers. Everyone knows your name.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool. So what's the scariest place to perform right now?
Scariest place to perform? The scariest place to perform, I think, would be like an empty room. I've had rooms like there's Winston's in Ocean Beach. I've done that. I did that years ago, and when you started out, the rule for that, Mike, was you're on first, and nobody's there, and you're basically telling jokes to the bartender.
Yeah.
But it builds character, and you have to kind of learn to entertain yourself, and that's kind of the same thing that happened with Steve Martin, because in his book he said he had a gig at a restaurant, and there would be no audience members, and they'd say, get on stage and start performing so people come in the door, and he'd have to perform for himself.
Yeah.
And that kind of built up him entertaining himself and being goofy, and that actually helped his act.
Yeah.
Clearly.
That's cool. Nice. So what was your family life growing up?
My family was very stable. Everybody was, luckily I didn't have anybody in the family that was really divorced. I had, everybody was together, grandparents together, parents together, and it was a very, very stable environment, which was good, and it was very supportive. I grew up with disabilities, and I know that was, something that my family had to always be aware of, but we had the same problems that every family has, but it was a great supportive environment. Really no problems there.
Okay, cool. So what's your earliest memory?
My earliest memory was being picked up at preschool and going over to my aunt and uncle's house to see my new baby cousin, who had just been born just hours earlier. So that is my first memory.
Wow, that's cool. So how old do you think you were?
4 years old.
Wow, that's pretty early. That's cool. So do you do any other type of art?
Well, I do writing. Sometimes I just do art or for myself, drawing or writing bad poetry or songs, or just journaling for my own personal, therapy kind of deal. But
cool.
Yeah, I've done painting in the past. I dabbled in that for a little bit in my early 20s.
Okay.
I didn't really get too far. No one really cared about my pieces. But,
Sure.
It's always good to be creative, and I think that's important to always have that outlet. It's good for your mental health.
Yeah, definitely. Nice. So what's the biggest audience you perform for?
The biggest audience I performed for, I would say probably when me and my friend were doing shows. We had the first show that we did over at the La Jolla Comedy Store. We had a full house, so that was about 50 people, I'd say. Every friend that we ever made in the world showed up. Every friend in San Diego that we'd ever made, so that was pretty cool.
Nice. Sweet. So where did you grow up?
Right here in San Diego, in Encinitas.
Okay. Sweet. So would you ever do a character on stage?
I dabbled with character before because I did improv, and I've thought about it, and I know that I can do characters, but I feel like myself is the character, because a lot of people think that the comedian that they see on stage is the same person in real life, and that's one facet of us.
Yeah.
But when we're on stage, we're doing an amplified version of who we are.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
I think I am the character.
Cool. So have you ever won a comedy contest or anything like that?
I've advanced a few times, but
Nice.
what happens with those comedy contests, I think, and it's just sort of the nature of the game. You have one off night and the audience is different. You don't win.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people bring their office and they don't have any experience in comedy, and they show up and do, just a standard comedy set that isn't good or bad. It just kind of is.
Yeah.
Which is fun. You should get on stage and do that, but they bring their whole office. They've never really done it, but they're confident enough, and then they get voted on in the competition, and you don't win.
Right.
But then, of course, they don't make the next round because they don't have the experience yet to make it work. And they definitely should keep at it, but I don't think that's the best place to start.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. So let's see. What's your best booking story? You're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I got booked on this show.
My best booking.
Or you booked someone on your show that you're like, oh, I can't believe we got this comic.
I booked Drew Lynch as a comedian for a bar show.
Okay.
And he showed up. That was just when he was on the way up. So that was, and he had just been on America's Got Talent. So that was very nice of him to show up to our show. Now I don't think he would ever take my phone call, but you know, it was very nice of him, and I do appreciate that. If you're listening, thank you.
All right, cool. So what's the worst thing about comedy right now?
The worst thing about comedy right now, I think, is that you can't really do political material. When I was in the middle of my comedy career, in around 2013 to 2020, I did more commentary and political humor, but I feel like our country wasn't as divided or polarized as it is now.
Sure.
And now when you do any sort of political comedy, it divides the room instantly, and there's just too much tension, so I try to stay away from that as much as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, hopefully it'll get better again.
I hope so too. I think we do need to come together. I think people need to be nicer to each other, and we need to put aside our differences and really find common ground. I think that's very important.
Yeah, definitely. See, have you ever been in a car accident?
Yes.
All right. So, do you want to elaborate about that?
Yeah. I think that the person made a left turn when they weren't supposed to, and there's nothing I could really do except brace for impact, and it destroyed my car. But luckily the car wasn't too expensive. I actually got it through my mother's friend, so it was very cheap. It was a very cool car, and I do miss that car. But you know
what kind of car was it?
Buick LeSabre, 1989. Kind of looked like a Cadillac, so I could drive around feeling like I'm in a Cadillac, just in a cheap car. But it was.
That's cool.
You know what? The good news is that I came out unscathed, and no one got seriously hurt. That's the most important part.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Yep. So, like, did you do well in school when you were growing up, or you had problems, or?
Well, I mean, I wasn't the best student. I think that I was a very sociable kid and very creative, and all the kids really enjoyed me being around. The teachers enjoyed my personality, but I didn't always get the best grades.
Okay.
I finally got on the honor roll senior year because I had all easy classes that were all like art or any sort of elective, and finally I had like a 4.0 GPA. But no, I was in the I had a independent plan, IP plan, and things like that. So I was in resource for classes like that. So no, I wasn't a brainiac, but I was a very good student in terms of being sociable and showing up to class and making people happy.
Oh, nice. Cool. Let's see. So, do you like music?
Yeah, I do. I do like music. I do love classic rock a lot. I like bands like Queen. I like the Ramones. I don't say that like I have a favorite band, but I do like music. I'm friends with people that have a band that tour around. So I've been in that world a little bit. So it's really cool. I love the creativity that goes into music. I wish I could do it myself. And a lot of times I say I'm going to learn music this year, but then life happens and things get distracting, and you get distracted by focusing on your comedy and podcasting, and you don't get around to learning the guitar. But
yeah, definitely.
But it's always, I do have it, and it's there any time, and it's fun just to even just strum on the guitar, and so yeah, I do like music.
Nice. So have you had a podcast before?
No, I've never done a podcast before. This is a new endeavor.
Okay, cool.
What I'm making it for is I'm part of this group for people with disabilities called Lights Camera Access, and I'm taking they're offering a program on how to start your own business. And I thought, I had this idea for a podcast, that evolved over the last year, and I said I'm going to make it and
Nice.
pitch it as a business. So, and I like to show other people that you can be creative. And I made other small videos just with my cell phone at home, just little funny things, or
Yeah.
talking about comedy, and just showing people. Some of the people in there have mental disabilities as well as physical,
Yeah.
and I was just showing them that you can just be creative with just very little, and I think
Yeah.
that's important. I think we all should be.
Yeah, for sure. So, do you want to talk about what type of disability you have, or?
Yeah, I can talk about that. So I was born with disabilities. I have turned out flat feet, so I have a funny or unique walk.
Okay.
And then I do have facial differences. I have cleft palate and a droopy right eyelid, which is called ptosis. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's an experience, because when you're disabled, the world isn't exactly built for you, so you have to learn how to navigate it. And
Sure.
there is a lot of unfortunately a lot of discrimination, and people always mean well,
Right.
but that's something you always have to kind of have to deal with that. But that kind of informs my comedy, and I do have some jokes that are subtly about that.
Yeah.
I don't want to base my whole comedy on being disabled, but
Sure.
there are some jokes that are in there, like I talk about doing horseback riding therapy as a kid, going to,
That's cool.
because I went to the place called Helen Woodward Animal Center, which is here in San Diego County,
Nice.
and they had a horseback riding therapy program, and that helped me a lot. But I tell the joke that I did horseback riding therapy, and the horse said, "Blame your parents."
Yeah, that's funny. Cool. So you said you also have like you think you have like ADHD or something?
Yes, I do have ADHD,
Okay.
and that actually
So how does that affect you?
that affects me. ADHD, you get it's hyper focus. A lot of people think it's hyper. When they hear hyperactivity, they imagine someone bouncing around the room,
Right.
but that's not what it is. It's you hyper focus on things like facial expressions that people have, and your brain is kind of like a sponge. You just everything that happens, you kind of chart it in your head, and
Yeah.
it's really hard for people to argue with me because I remember everything that person has ever said since the day I've known them,
Right.
and you can't turn it off. ADHD doesn't end, but
Yeah.
it is an advantage to my comedy, because that's why I do crowd work a lot of times, because I can just start making up jokes on the fly, or be able to pull out old jokes, and that's where the ADHD is really an advantage.
Sure. Yeah, that's cool. Good. Let's see. So, do you ever listen to podcasts?
Yeah, I listen to a lot of podcasts. A lot of the people that I did listen to, they've passed. Like Gilbert Gottfried had the Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal podcast about old Hollywood and interviewing old movie stars or people that knew them, or anything to do with the unique side of entertainment. I love that. I liked Bob Saget's podcast. I liked Mark Maron. So yeah, I do listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of history stuff. People are always recommending it,
Yeah.
and I'm always interested to find new podcasts. So yeah, that's cool. I do love podcasts.
Oh, that's cool. Nice. Let's see. So, what got you doing improv?
What got me doing improv? Well, I had won some money, and I decided, I always liked improv. I liked watching, Whose Line Is It Anyway? And I had a lot of friends in high school and college that did improv, and so I did give it a try here in San Diego, and I did enjoy it. But yeah, I enjoy it a lot.
So, are you part of the improv group right now?
No, I don't do any improv right now.
Okay.
I think stand up is more my flavor right now. I'm not against trying improv again. I just haven't had the opportunity lately.
Sure. Yeah. about sketches? Have you done any sketches?
I did do a sketch with Ralphie May and his wife,
Nice.
Lana Turner, years and years ago. It's probably somewhere in the ether of YouTube. But yeah, I have. So I did that. That was like the first like major thing that I did, because somebody had signed up to do it, but they had a prior engagement. They couldn't do it, so they called me and said, "Can you sub for me?" So I went up to LA and did that for the day, and
That's cool.
got to spend the day with a famous comedian. So that was pretty cool. I didn't really ask them about comedy, because I figured that was probably the last thing that they wanted to hear. You don't want to fanboy out on
Sure.
comedian.
Yeah, that's nice. So, let's see. Do you like to watch TV or read books, or what are you doing to entertain yourself?
To entertain myself, I do read a lot of books. I read a lot of like nonfiction books. I really like learning about different cultures, different people. I think it's always good to be learning.
Yeah.
My grandmother was a reading teacher, and so reading was very important to her. So I learned to read at a very young age. I was very advanced in that.
Nice.
So I do love reading books. TV shows, I like understanding like what's going on in our culture.
Yeah.
In terms of TV shows, there's way too many TV shows now. You can't even keep up. It used to be just when I was a kid, it was like, you had 50 channels, and then my parents were saying we only had 3, and now it's like, there's 100,000 of them. So
Yeah.
how do you even keep up? But
Yeah, for sure.
I think now I have a theory that everyone's going to get a TV show at some point on Netflix. Or it's going to come find you on the street. It's like jury duty. It's your week to have a TV show.
Oh, do I have to?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Let's see. So, have you ever done any merch?
Ever done any merch? No, I've thought about it. I know that's something I do need to do. But I do have an agent. It's not exactly for comedy, but
Yeah.
I do need to work on that. I think that's I've made like sketches and things, maybe like logos, but I haven't settled on anything. But I don't know if I'm quite there yet. But that's definitely something I do need to be working on. And I think definitely you need to have a brand,
Yeah.
because anybody can get on stage and tell a joke,
Yeah.
but
Exactly.
personality
Yeah,
and
brand like comedy or worse.
exactly. See, that's the thing. See, you do have a brand, and that's important, because anybody, like I said, anyone can get on stage and tell a joke. But if you have a unique angle or a unique personality, then that's important. Because
Cool. Yep. Let's see. So, do you enjoy watching people get better at their jokes?
yeah, I do like watching the evolution of people getting better, because when you're in the scene long enough, you see new people come in, and you see them kind of get on stage. Sometimes they're confident at first. Sometimes they only have 2 minutes, and then they get on stage and they keep. A lot of times people apologize for their set. You never should do that. But
Right.
I've seen people, both ways. But it is nice to watch people get better and better, and to see them work out a joke and hear it 5 or 6 times. You can see how they get more confident at it, and how the little improvements in it, how one word change or a new facial glance can really make or break a joke a lot of times.
Yeah.
As
for
Steve
sure.
Martin said, timing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it always surprises me, like, when people, like, there's not a lot of people in the audience, and people are upset that they're not doing better. It's like, well, you have to gauge your expectation based on how many people are in the room, like, you can't, do you have their attention, like, are they enjoying themselves, or sometimes people will, like, laugh quietly or smile or whatever.
Yeah, there are unique reactions. Sometimes you'll hear laughter, sometimes you'll hear applause, sometimes you'll tell a joke, there'll be a brief pause, and then people kind of, do a little, huh. But I think the best advice I ever got about that was, when you enter a room for doing a performance, whether it's comedy or doing an audition for acting or anything like that, breathe in the energy of the room.
Yeah.
So if there's very few people in there, you breathe in that energy. If the room is going wild, breathe in that energy. Try to match it as best that you can.
Sure. Cool. So how did you get into acting?
I got into acting because I started with that Lights, Camera, Access group. I went in wanting to be a writer because I had gone to college for creative writing and I done screenwriting, and I was going to maybe start looking into that kind of work. And they had a little seminar in LA, and I was walking around and I had a portfolio of my pieces that I had written, creative writing pieces, and a lot of people said, "You have a unique look, you should be an actor." And these were producers that had worked in Hollywood, and I said, well, if they're saying it, maybe I should. You know, everyone always has the fantasy that, I shouldn't say everybody, a lot of people have a fantasy of being a famous movie star, and of course, you know, I've had that too. When you're a kid, you think, oh, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, I did do that. I am doing that. And I've done a short film, and I did enjoy it. And people on the set of that film really enjoyed my acting. So that is something I am trying to pursue on the side as well as with comedy.
Sweet. So do you do acting in LA, or you do it here in San Diego?
Well, I haven't really done any acting in the last months and months, but... You know, I do films. So I did the short film, and I have an agent now, and we're working on getting those roles. But
sure, yeah, it takes time.
Takes time, you know.
You gotta go to a lot of auditions.
A lot of auditions, yeah. You know, you go into a room, everyone looks like you. I don't know if anyone's seen the movie.
Like, oh, I thought you looked unique.
Yeah, there's that scene in La La Land where she walks into the room and everybody looks like her. Everyone, and then she just kind of shrugs and walks out, if I'm remembering the movie correctly, but I think that's pretty much what it's like.
Yeah. Makes sense. Cool. So have you written anything that you would see yourself acting in?
Yeah, I've written kind of a short screenplay, and I'm going to work on expanding that into a feature length, and maybe someday I can make it. The character is about my age or a little younger. I know I look a lot younger than I am, but if I wait too much longer, I'm going to have someone else play the role, so I do need to...
That's right. Exactly.
So
you
you
have
need
to
to
rewrite it. Oh.
Now this character can't be 30, he's got to be 60, and then the script won't make any sense, but...
Yeah, well, maybe you should start shooting it as
Start
soon as you can.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I'm going to, that's my next project after the podcast, is to refine that screenplay.
Nice.
Everyone always says, I'm writing a screenplay, and they've only written the title page.
Sure, yeah, it's not easy. Yeah. Let's see, so, what have I not asked you? What about social media? Do you like social media?
I think social media is a very double-edged sword.
Yeah.
I think it's good to have a fan base. I am on social media. I do need to up my presence on there. I do get a lot of followers on social media. People see my comedy show, and then they find me on Instagram and they follow me. So that's always good. I think it's good for networking. It's definitely good for a fan base. So yeah, no, social media is great. It's just it can be divisive. There's a lot of lies and conspiracy theories and things on there that you could definitely go down a rabbit hole, and it's pretty it's pretty dangerous animal, I think. But
so what conspiracy theory do you think is like the worst conspiracy that you've heard?
A worst conspiracy? Well, I don't really want to get into it, but a lot of them are, you have anti-Semitic and racist, and these things. People are eating, doing horrible things to, I don't even want to. It's too cruel to think about. You don't want to think about those things.
I don't even consider that conspiracy theory.
I think that's
more like a hate group.
Yeah, I think that's a hate group. Those unfortunately are the ones that do come up with these things, and it's better just to not think about those things because I'll
Well,
just
yeah.
depress your day. I
Sure,
like
I didn't want to talk about that.
no, no,
Oh,
no. I
I'm
like
just grasping it.
I like to be more
Give me
optimistic.
the topic.
Give me
What
the
should we talk
topic.
about? I
Yeah.
gotta like write more questions.
Well, I think
Sometimes
it's.
go through
I grew up with a very optimistic grandmother, and I'm like optimistic myself because with disabilities, the world will beat you down a lot of times, and I always believe that things can get better. I think the one thing that I learned, I heard someone say this once, that there's a difference between an optimist and a pessimist, and a pessimist thinks that things are going to be the same tomorrow as they are today. That's what a pessimist thinks.
Sure.
An optimist thinks things can get better. A lot of people think optimism means looking at the worst and trying to find something good in it. I believe it's thinking that things are going to get better. That's
Sure.
optimistic, and I am optimistic about just the world in general. I think that the things always do get better, even on bad days.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. What about comedy? Are you doing comedy 7 nights a week, or are you just concentrating on certain days, or?
I just concentrate on certain days. I think money is a factor because gas. You have to have the gas to get to
Sure.
to the comedy venues, and here in San Diego, public transportation runs only during the day, and
Yeah.
since we're late at night, usually open mics are at night, so you can't really use that. So I have to be very economical about my time.
Sure. Yeah. All right. So what days are you concentrating on right now?
Right now it's usually Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then Fridays at your venue. So it just depends on the week. I just try to plan it as best I can and try to do at least 2 nights a week of comedy. Ideally, I would do 7 nights a week, but
Sure. Yeah. All right. So are you busy with work a lot, or?
no, I work at home, so I don't.
Okay.
I have a very open schedule.
Okay.
I wish I was busier. That would mean I'd be making more money, but
Sure. Yeah. Nice. Let's see. So, have you ever thought about running your own, like open mic or something like that, or?
well, I did do that with my brother. It was a comedy show at a bar in Long Beach,
Okay.
but that show kind of just over time didn't take off. But it was nice to try. But you have to have the equipment, and I did, like I said, I did shows with friends, so I've done that.
Okay.
But it's pretty.
But why were you doing a show in Long Beach?
Oh, because I think because that's my brother actually got that venue, so that's why we went there.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. So, do you have any questions? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, I could talk about like how my whole comedy arc, like the career of it, if you want.
Sure.
Yeah. So like I said, I started like kind of on like a suggestion from my friend to go do comedy, and then we ended up, doing shows at La Jolla Comedy Store.
What year was that?
That was 2011, I believe.
Okay.
And then I did open mics there. I actually took the comedy class at the Comedy Store in La Jolla.
Who is the teacher?
That was Sandy Shore,
Okay.
the daughter of the person who started the Comedy Store. So
That's cool.
I did that, and I actually did that as part of a journalism. I was a journalist for a while. My sister was part of this news site called Patch. I think it's still around in very limited form, but I had a blog where I was blogging about comedy. No one really paid attention to the blog. It was still early for that kind of thing, but I did take the class, and I got to do the set, and it was a good starting point. And back then, the humor was about my Judaism and things like that. So it was definitely developing a character, and it was a good experience overall.
Oh, that's cool. All right. So then where'd you go from there?
Okay, so then from there, I just kept doing open mics and the show, and then I started going to, I can't remember why I ended up there, but Flappers in Burbank.
Okay.
And, you know, you go there, if you do well enough, they do put you on a show there.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that's still the case. I haven't been doing that for a couple of years, but you go there and you can do their little room or the big room, whatever is available to be booked.
Uh-huh.
Now they're getting bigger and bigger names, so I don't know what their booking process is anymore,
Sure.
but that was a very accessible place, and it probably still is. So that was really cool to do that, and that's where I started developing the crowd work. But I didn't exclusively start doing like 90% of my set being crowd work if the room is full, until about last year. So
Yeah. That's cool. So how do you like it now?
like now, I think it's good to hit a rhythm, but I think the best thing that I've ever heard, there's a comedian, Hal Sparks, and he said that the best advice that he gives to comedians is you're never as good as you're going to be.
Sure.
So I think that's very important. And I do like watching what he does and what other comics do when they can improv a whole set. And I really think that's a great skill. And with my ADHD, that is good, because if someone says something, or I see someone wearing a certain hat that's kind of interesting to me, or they just look interesting, or I'm just talking to them and finding out about their stories, you know, you start your crowd work with, like, you know, where are you from? How do you guys know each other? What do you do for work? And I'm trying to find that something I can joke about, and I could either have prepared material or, you know, make new jokes. And the good thing about that is it kind of builds on itself, because someone says a line, you know, I work in a pizzeria, and you come up with a really good joke about pizza or something, that goes in my head, and then the next time someone says I work in a pizzeria, you can pull out that joke. It's really interesting skill. It's a very unique skill, I think, that I have. I don't want to like brag about it, but
Sure.
I feel very blessed to have that as a skill.
Yeah. Nice. Sweet. Let's see. Have you ever done any roast battles or anything like that?
I've never done roast battles.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I could spend that much time making fun of a person.
Sure.
See, I don't like comedy that makes people feel bad. I think when I was a kid, I had this, this was way before the internet, when you could just go and find the archives, but I liked Mad Magazine, and there was a CD-ROM set of every Mad Magazine ever made up until that point, and I bought it, and on there was two writers, and they were talking about how they deal with victim humor. And they said, we would never tell a joke about someone having, say, like cancer. We might come up with jokes about government funding of research of cancer,
Right.
but we would never make fun of the cancer victim or cancer itself.
Yeah.
And I try to do that in my humor as much as I can.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense. So, have you had any family members die of cancer or anything like that?
No, I've never had any family members die of cancer.
Well, that's good.
No, I know that I've had friends that have had it. I've had friends that have died from other things, but not
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Are you married, or have you ever been engaged, or?
No, I've not been married or engaged. Currently on the market. Anybody?
Yeah,
No.
this is doubles as a dating profile.
Yeah,
You gotta get to
email
know
me.
Oren.
Beautiful women, email me, please.
Well, maybe hit him up on Instagram.
Hit me up on Instagram.
Yeah, and go from there.
Go from there, yeah. I'm a handful with my ADHD. I don't know. I mean, I often wonder would I date myself? Could I don't know if I could even stand dating myself. So I could see where a woman would have to be.
Leave me alone. I need time away.
I think I can be a little much with people with my ADHD, and I try not to be. But ADHD is going to do what ADHD does, and you just have to. Being with me takes a lot of patience, and I've had more than one person just burn out. So it's tough. If you have the mental stamina, find me on Instagram.
Let's see. So, have you had any friends like move away or anything like that?
Move away. Well, I mean, when I was a little kid, one of my best friends, I still remember his name, Mike Winder, if you're out there. Him and his family, they moved back east because his dad got a job, and that was actually just a couple months, just shy of my 8th birthday, I believe, and that was also the time that my grandfather passed away. So that was it. Yes, I had friends that moved away. I've had friends that have died, car accidents. I've had friends that got hit by a car. I've had friends that have died of, unfortunately, of drug overdoses, and just in general, people just kind of getting busy with their life, getting married, starting families, moving away, getting jobs that take up a lot of their time, especially if you get older. So you have to learn to kind of be friends with yourself, make new friends, make new memories, get out, do comedy, make friends here at the Madhouse.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's cool. Let's see. What else should we talk about? Oh, do you have any pets?
I have a dog.
Oh, okay.
I've had a lot of dogs. I actually got them. The first dog I got was Princess, and she was very cute. She was very cute. What she would do is be like what my dad would go to, like, discipline us as a kid. He would, dads, he would never. No parent should ever hit their kids, but he would, raise up his arm, you kids, stop it. And my dog would just put her mouth around his arm like, don't you dare, don't you dare. And then also the other thing that was really cute about her was that she would, if the three kids were fighting, she would also go over to my dad and grab his arm like, aren't you gonna stop them from fighting each other? But unfortunately, she turned out to be blind. Yeah, so that was sad. And then we had another dog after that, Ginger, and she was a mix of German Shepherd and Chow Chow. A very, very hyperactive dog, but very, very social.
Oh, nice.
Very smart. It was funny. We would take her to the park, and people would be throwing balls to their dogs, and the dog would be chasing the balls, but she'd be chasing the dog. She didn't care about the ball at all. She just wanted to be social with everybody. And then we actually got a dog, a friend for her, because my sister wanted a dog, and we went to the pound.
Yeah.
And my dad always had wanted a Shetland sheepdog, a Sheltie, and my sister was looking around. We were looking, my dad and I, for my sister, and then she came up to us and said, "Hey, there was a Sheltie. What about, you didn't say anything?" And we said, "What Sheltie?" It had just been brought in, and it was a 5-year-old Sheltie, and
Nice.
just minutes before, so we put a hold on it, and that was supposed to be her dog, but we thought, this is a designer dog. Whoever owns this dog is probably going to come back and get it. And I visited midweek, and there was a note on the door that said I already have 3 holds. And I said, the owner hasn't come back, and they said no. And I said, but I'm just curious, how many people have asked about this dog? And the person said, I stopped counting. And so we had the first hold. So I showed up at 5 in the morning with Ginger, and there were 2 other cars there. Waited for them to open. Went in, had the dogs interact, walked out with the dog, with the people glaring at me because I just walked out with the $2,000 dog, prize dog, and that became her buddy. And I don't know what happened. The story I got was that he was left at a friend's apartment. This girl left him at her friend's apartment that she didn't really know, and the girl just kind of disappeared. And I still wonder. I hope that girl's okay.
Yeah.
But if that girl is listening, your dog did have a great life. If you happen to be listening, he had a great, happy life. So, yeah, and no, that was really cool. And then the dog I have now, Belle, she is a Rottweiler Chihuahua Pit Bull mix, which for the life of me I can't figure out how that worked, because that doesn't seem like you could create that. They couldn't. I don't know how the dogs, got together, but.
Well, sometimes there's artificial insemination.
Or a stepladder or something. I don't know how they got.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, but she's there. She's about 10 years old now, 10 years old. So I said, what year did I get her? 2017. Yeah, about 9 years old. If I got her 2017, that's right. 8 years old, 9 years old, something like that.
Okay.
Math was never my strength in school.
Sure. Makes sense. Sweet. So, just dogs, no cats or anything?
We did have a cat.
Okay.
We had a cat, Jasper. And it was in 2016. That was a pretty tough year because the cat died, and then we had to put the one dog to sleep, and you had to put the other dog to sleep, and then.
Wow.
But then we ended up getting Belle, so
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Nice. Sweet. Good. Sweet. All right. I think that's a pretty good length for a podcast. What do you think?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about?
I would just say that anybody who wants to do comedy or do any sort of art, you should. I think that a lot of people feel shy. I know that one of the biggest fears people have is public speaking.
Sure.
But I think that Gilbert Gottfried said it best, that he said that every time that he was about to go on stage, that he had this fantasy that the club owner would come to him and said, there's been we had a pipe burst in the back, there's been a flood, we just can't do the comedy show tonight. Here's your money, you can go home. And every time before you get on stage, you'd have that fantasy, but then once you got on stage and started, the fear just dissipates. And I think it's that momentary fear. A lot of people think, people look at me and they say, you don't have stage fright. No, I think a lot of people do have stage fright. I think it's just, you just have to start. I think that's the thing is, it's not about the fear. It's about feeling it and doing it anyway, because that's the important part. And I think it's important just to be creative, no matter what you do. Even if it's just taking out a piece of paper and doodling, just get that mind flowing.
Yeah. And also go see live comedy, everybody.
Yes, go see live comedy. Support your local comedians.
Need audiences.
Need audiences. Support art.
You can't do this without you.
You cannot do this without you. See live performances, no matter what it is.
Yeah,
These people work hard and they need encouragement, and it's always good, because you never know who might quit because there's nobody there that night. But if you show up and you laugh, and you never know, you might be in the audience and watching the comedians and go, I can do that myself.
Yeah.
And you should try if you feel like it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, great. That sounds like a great place to end it. Well, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Yeah.
This has been Comedy or Worse. Okay, bye.
Bye.